If you're looking to grow your business, there's only one way: by building real quality customer relationships. Most marketing software will claim they can do this, but will never deliver on their promises. You need to demand more from your marketing software, and that's where Klaviyo comes in. Klaviyo helps you build meaningful customer relationships by listening and understanding cues from your customers, allowing you to easily turn that information into valuable marketing messages. That is why 10,000 innovative brands have switched to Klaviyo. What's the secret to building customer relationships? Tune into Klaviyo's Beyond Black Friday docuseries to find out and unlock marketing strategies you can use to keep momentum going year round. Just head over to klaviyo.com/beyondbf for more. That's klaviyo.com/beyondbf.com. Welcome to Access to the 2X e-commerce podcast show. I'm your host, Gene Campbell, and this is the e-commerce podcast dedicated to rapid growth in online retail. This show is geared to helping you ambitious online retailers looking to scale 2X, 3X, or even 10X. You know, I always handpick the guests that come onto the show to share their expertise and experience. My criteria is based on one question: can my guests provide you guys valuable information and insights to help you grow metrics such as conversions, average order value, repeat customers, traffic, and ultimately sales? If they can, I try and bring them onto the show. And on today's show, we're doing something different. I know I've had marketplace, some marketplace entrepreneurs come on the show, but this one is like really different to what we've had in the past, because it is an e-commerce marketplace linked to services, and it's a marketplace, and they use principles as transactional. They use principles, for e-commerce to actually scale their business. They're well over a 10 million, dollar company right now, and it's 100% bootstrapped. So there are lots of learnings to inspire you all from this conversation we're about to have. I would, I'll just introduce my guest, Gene Caballero. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. You're the co-founder and CEO of GreenPal. GreenPal is an Uber for lawn care. Could you please explain, what that entails?
Yeah. So basically, GreenPal has been described as Uber for lawn care, and it's the easiest way for homeowners to find, schedule, and pay their lawn guy.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And then what about you? Your background. So could you take a minute or less to, introduce yourself?
Yeah. So, born in South America in Lima, Peru, lived in the United States in Nashville ever since I was 5 years old. Always had an entrepreneurial bug. My mom owned his own business. My grandfather owned his own business. So always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. Postgraduate degree, the only job I could find was in sales. And so I did that for about 12 years until the opportunity for GreenPal was able to lure me away from the corporate world. And here I am.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. How did you start? You said you had a sales background, and GreenPal is a tech company, whether you like it or not, however anybody wants to, view it, even though you're in, the lawn care and gardening space, you're using technology to enable, transactions in that space. So how did the idea, come about, and how did you get it kickstarted?
Right. So my co-founder had one of the largest landscaping companies in the area. And when he wanted to exit that company, him and I kind of started talking about the pain points that, landscaping companies have to grow their business, to manage it, to make it more efficient. Well, at that time, my territory that I covered, I did tech sales, equipment sales. And my territory was based on the West Coast. And so I kind of was privy to the Uber, the Airbnbs, the Lyfts of the world. And they were all in Silicon Valley. So, we kind of put our heads together. It's like, well, hey, if somebody's going to rent out a couch for a weekend to make, $50, then at some point they're going to, summon lawn care the same way. And so we just knew that at some point that was going to happen. And that's why we started GreenPal 7 years ago.
Fantastic. So what was like you founded it in 2015?
Well, it was started in 2012, but we actually didn't get the business going until 2015.
Okay. So from 2015, what did the first 6 months look like?
The first 6 months were a lot of reflection on, how do we make this thing scale? Okay, now we've got a usable product. We've got something that we're not ashamed of showing people and to let people know that it exists. So the first 6 months we're learning, getting user feedback, getting vendor feedback to make this thing better, to keep making improvements little by little to make this thing scalable.
Mm-hmm. What was the hold up between 2012 and 2015? 3 years is a long time.
It's a very long time, a very expensive 3 years. Mm-hmm. So when we first started, neither one of us had a technological background. We were in sales and we were in corporate lives. So we thought it would be as easy as, hey, let's pay a website company to build this thing for us. It can't cost us that much. So, we gave them $125,000. And after the first year, hey, next month, we're getting closer. And they actually went out of business. So a year and a half into it, they delivered us a product that was very pretty, but very unusable. Mm. So with that being said, if we wanted to continue, we literally needed to have a co-founder go to a school to learn how to build this on his own. And so he did that. He went to school for 8 months, learned how to build it, and built a new version. So that 3 years was basically that in a nutshell. We paid somebody to build it. They went out of business. We had a co-founder go to software school in Nashville, Tennessee to learn how to build it. And he built it, and it was ready in 2015.
That is amazing. That's an amazing story in the sense that you're still that resilient to push forward 3 years on. So, the conviction of, this working, the concept of GreenPal actually working was very, very strong, to keep you guys going. A lot of people have given up and just cried on the fact that they lost 125 grand and, let me look onto the next one, right?
Yeah, I don't think there would have been a next one after that. That stung a little too bad. But yeah, I mean, we initially had good feedback from the vendors, not necessarily the homeowners, because all of that was using at that time were friends and family. But we had a lot of positive feedback from the vendors saying, hey, this is great if you can do this. And having a strong landscaping background as well, we kind of knew that there was a lack of something like this, a lack of tool in the landscaping industry. So we knew that that was just going to take a little bit longer, but we were still going to pursue the idea.
So your co-founder with gardening and landscaping experience had to learn how to code.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a little bit different, but it's a school structure. You put your head to anything, you can do anything you want to do.
Absolutely.
Very frustrating time where, you can't really do transactions, can't really do any business, but it gives me time to lay out the steps like, okay, well, what we need to do? Who do we need to kind of hire in the meantime to get the website, designed perfectly? We probably did 1,000 usability tests on what we thought the product should look like before we implemented while he was building it. So a lot of downtime, but a lot of, non-revenue producing downtime, which it can be tough as well.
Okay. Makes sense. So beyond the first 6 months, what were the goals for year one? So 2015, and how did you guys sort of measure up with the expected goals in 2015?
So in 2015, we actually didn't even launch until like the middle of the summer. That's when it was finished. So our goal that week was to have, it sounds so minuscule, but to have 100 transactions per week, meaning that 100 lawns were completed on our platform. That was our goal for 2015. And did we hit it? No, we actually had 92. So a little embarrassing that we weren't able to hit it. But there was a lot of hand holding, a lot more customer service that we needed to do. We were in the business, not on the business, just shuffling. If a vendor couldn't make it, then we found another vendor for them. So it was very, very hand-to-hand combat that we were doing that first year. So, but our goal was 100 transactions, and we fell a little bit short.
Which is understandable. And then how does the 97 transactions in for half of 2015 compared to what you guys did in 2018? How many transactions a month do you handle now?
So this in 2019, we'll do about 12,000 transactions per week. That'll probably be the average.
Week
per week, correct?
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, 15,000 per week.
15,000 a week. Wow. Mm-hmm. And what's like the average order value for lawn care?
About $42.
Okay, makes sense. And so yeah, let's talk about acquisition. So how did you get your first 1,000 customers in, and what kind of channels have you sort of applied to what have you sort of doubled down on and seems to be working at the start of the business, that is?
So at the very beginning, we knew that since our percentage that we take is so small that there's no way we could go to, and pay $20 per click to get a customer. That would literally be almost a full year of lawn maintenance that would have to go perfectly good for us to get our money back. So we knew that wasn't an option. So in the very beginning, we knew that PR was going to be huge for us, and word of mouth was going to be huge for us, and also vendors onboarding their non-GreenPal customers onto our platform. So we did a really good job of doing PR and letting the media know that, hey, there's a new company in town that's Uber for lawn care that can help homeowners find landscaping professionals. So we really did a good job of promoting GreenPal, which was very free. And also SEO. We started SEO around 6 years ago, knowing that that's not an overnight success. You have to grind on that for years before you see any payoff. So we started that very, very early, knowing that was going to be our best channel. And then we also knew that, to have a little help to grow this business, we needed the vendors' help as well. So we made it very easy for them to bring their non-GreenPal customers onto the platform so they can just, use the GreenPal app for their day-to-day and be their operating system for their landscaping business.
Makes sense. So just tracking back to PR, did you do it yourself? Did you hire a third party? How did you crack the PR code? And did you start locally?
Yes. So we started locally, and basically anybody will write about a local company. They think they're gonna be the Uber for lawn care. I'll write about them anyway. So it wasn't easy, but it wasn't very difficult to get it locally. Now, when you go, our second market was Tampa, Florida. When you go there, you don't know anybody. Nobody cares that that you're not from there. You're starting a business there. You're just offering a service there. So basically, what I did was I knew that we couldn't afford a marketing team. Those things have retainers for thousands of dollars a month. So I found a local PR individual that I asked if I could hire her for a few hours, and she kind of teach me the do's and don'ts of the PR business, and maybe give me some templates and how to find people to follow up with. So I think she was around $200 an hour. And so I was able to afford her for about 3 hours. And she gave me some really good tips, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, amazing stories and how you're bootstrapping and making significant progress. And then and I guess from the PR, that spilled over to word of mouth also. And when the service is really good, there's more word of mouth. So it's it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, once you have a really good system working.
Correct. And, we're currently building right now a referral process for homeowners to refer other homeowners. So that, you can Google all you want to, but if your coworker says, hey, try this, obviously that's going to win over any Google search, any review, any 5-star rating. So
you're so spot on. There's so much power in a dinner, and word of mouth, basically, over a dinner table conversation, if you're at work, ask a question, all that kind of stuff. You're so right. So SEO, let's talk about SEO. SEO, you're 6 years in. How did you learn SEO? Do you do the SEO, or does your co-founder do the SEO?
We kind of split the SEO duties. We both kind of have a very kindergarten, first grade level of it. And with that and hard work, you can really, really impact your domain authority. So it was just him and I, pitching journalists, pitching bloggers, pitching basically everybody that could possibly write about us. But now we probably have, I would say, 2 teams that are helping with about 3 or 4 link building campaigns, all contracted overseas workers that are pitching assets, pitching story ideas, pitching infographics and stuff like that to help with our link building.
Amazing. So what was your, what was your what's your SEO success like? What kind of, searches do you get, do you get traffic for?
So those numbers I don't have in front of me, but our DA, I think right now is around a 70 out of 100. So, like I said, it's taken us 6 years to get
domain
there.
authority for guys who don't know what.
Yeah. So domain authority is kind of a weird number to talk about because a lot of people don't, there's a lot of different tools that will give you a domain authority saying, hey, how popular is your website through Google? Only Google knows the true domain authority number, but there are a lot of companies that kind of algorithmically think that they know. So 100 is perfect. Facebook, Google, Amazon, Nike, those companies are the 100s. A lot of universities are 70s, 80s, and 90s. So to be in the 60s and 70s is very good. So it's basically the DA is just a ranking of how you search or of how you rank when people are looking for your business.
Yeah, and 70 out of 100, which is
not bad.
A really, really good score. Okie dokie. So how do you retain what's your retention, like in a business, in GreenPal, are you seeing a lot of return transactions of return buyers using the service? The question, the reason I'm asking is if I was to hire a gardener, or a landscaper for our garden, there are 2 ways we could look at this. If it's a landscaper, we may just do it as a one-off project. They do it and, that's it. But obviously there's a maintenance bit of it, which, we could either rehire that person or, or maybe get a gardener. Once I've established that relationship with that service provider and I'm really happy with him, I don't see why I should go back to the platform and look for another gardener or pay through the platform. So how do you get, your vendors to ensure that, transactions go through the system and they just don't, pay cash?
Right. And it goes back to kind of the vendors. So we thought that it would happen more often. But what we realized is that if you give somebody something that is valuable, they don't want to ruin that relationship. If we make it so easy that they can bid 10 properties and win 2 or 3 properties and make it easy for them to get paid, make it easy for them to upsell, make it easy for them to, to get to their routes faster and quicker and more efficiently, then they're going to stay on the platform no matter what. So that's exactly what we did. That's why our fee is so low. Like, would you risk, having a GreenPal account for $1.50, to take this customer offline, when we're feeding a vendor, in some areas, 20 to 30 possible new homeowners a day, for free, honestly. So, and the homeowner side, the homeowner doesn't want to meet a vendor out there for a quotation. They don't want to leave a check under their mat. They don't want to have to walk the property. Some people have, 10, 15 properties that they manage, and it's impossible for them to do that. So we try to make it as easy as possible for both parties, keep the cost low for the vendor, so he really doesn't have any reason to leave the platform and take it offline. So, and
I guess it's the same Uber mentality. Once, a service like Uber or Airbnb have trained,
right.
customers that, look, if you, and I'm going to talk about the app, because we need to, cover the app for sure, that, it's a safe, environment to transact with service providers, and, there's accountability. So do you have a feedback system?
Yes, we certainly do. And that's what I was going to mention next is all vendors are scored on a reliability rating, ongoing service rating, and a star rating. Mm-hmm. So let's just say a vendor gets 10 new properties and he has a 0 ongoing rate percentage. That means he's followed most of his customers offline. So when we have a vendor fall below a certain threshold, then their count is deleted, because if homeowners aren't rescheduling him, he's either doing bad work or he's taking them offline. So it's just better for us to part ways early than to have to deal with it down the road. So that's kind of the feedback loop that we have. And it's also, homeowners see that too. Like, oh yeah, Campbell's Lawn Service has 95% reliability rating. They have an 80%, ongoing rating, and they have 4.8 stars out of 5. I'm going to pick him. So we give all the data to the homeowner so they can pick who they want to work with.
Amazing. So there's that accountability, back end, also. Okay. And then let's talk about activity. So where does, discovery and transactional activity actually occur? You did mention, prior to the start of the call, that you do have mobile apps and a website. So where, when you started, when you kicked off the platform back in 2015, what was the ratio of, web to app like, and how's that sort of evolved in 2019?
I'd say it's in 2015, I'd say it was about 60% online and 40% mobile. And now that number mobile is around 80%. Yeah. So, nobody is, Googling lawn care Nashville, Tennessee on their desktop. They're doing it from their mobile phone, which is not really surprising nowadays.
No, it's not. And then on mobile web, do they install the app? What's the customer journey like?
Yeah, so the customer journey is, I'd say it's about 50-50. 50% do, use the mobile website. And then once they've done a transaction, 75% will actually download the mobile app and disregard any of the mobile platform other than the app. So once one transaction goes well, we have a really good shot of keeping you in the ecosystem and getting you to download the app.
Okay. So you did mention SEO in an event where 50% of customers, or 75% of customers actually use the app. Are you doing any sort of app optimization akin to SEO in the App Store or Google Play Store?
Yeah. So what we've learned is nobody is currently going to the to the Apple iOS store and looking for lawn care in their area. So when that starts to change, we'll focus our efforts on on the app search. But as of right now, it's still about 95% Google.
Wow. Amazing. And hopefully, we've heard about instances in which some apps just blew up off the back of the getting featured, by Apple editors. It'd be interesting to see if Apple is able to create like a local, and Google is able to create like a local section, local, apps to help you get about locally or something like that. And then, feature services such as yours, such as GreenPal. It might be, quite useful, in some
that would make our life a lot easier.
Right. Okay. So revenue wise, in terms of how does the business model work? What do you keep, for every $100 that comes through the system? What's average order value, and for every $100 that comes through the system, through that you collect, what do you keep?
Yeah, so our business model has and always will be just a 5% transactional. So $100 goes through, we take 5.
Okay, so really it's all about chasing the number of transactions, and that is probably your north star in the business.
That is, I mean, we've thought about different other revenue models, but I don't think we're at that point yet. But as of right now, the 5% is not going down and it's not going up either. So we do believe it's fair. And, the 10,000 vendors that are using our platform, they obviously think it's fair, but it's something that we're going to stick with for now.
And I love the fact that you're a platform, and you're not a business, sitting on another platform, if that makes sense.
Yes,
yeah. So, in regards to the number of states you are you a national, do you operate in all 50 states now, or in the United States? What's the setup like?
We will be in every state by the end of 2019. We're in about 30 states right now, and we'll be in every state by the end of the year.
And what happens? What's the process? How do you launch into a state? I know you talked about earlier about when you went to Florida and the challenges you had and how you eventually broke your way into Florida. So do you have like a plan? So now that you're on this podcast, you've been on Forbes, you've been on several other publications. That those have a national broadcast. Those just transcend states. But what do you do specifically if you were to, go into a state?
Yeah. So back before we had things figured out, it was a manual process. So basically, I would pay somebody to aggregate all the data from let's just say a Louisville, Kentucky. I need 500 vendors that mow lawns in Louisville, Kentucky, and I would manually text message them, manually call them, and manually email them. Very slow process that yielded us very slow growth. So now we've used Facebook ads for the vendor onboarding side. So basically, once we target a geo that we want to launch in, we start our Facebook campaign for that. Once we hit a certain number of vendors in that specific area, we'll start building landing pages in that area. So we'll have one for Louisville, and then we'll have one for any other smaller mid-market or smaller market company or smaller market city in that area as well. So typical city, we probably have around 15 to 20 landing pages and sub landing pages for an area. Once we finish with those landing pages, that is when the PR will start. So very scalable, very repeatable now. We're launching about a market every 2 weeks. So we've got a team of content writers that write all of our landing pages, and we have a Facebook advertising team that helps us with onboarding the vendors as well.
That was amazing. So with the Facebook advertising, that's what I love to talk about really. What format do you use the messenger format where they, where the ads trigger, trigger people to message you, or do you take them to a landing page for your Facebook?
Yeah, we take them to a specific landing page that has a video of how everything works. So it's getting us around 20 vendors per day, 20 to 25 vendors per day.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And is your targeting hyper targeted?
Yes, it is. With Facebook, you probably already know this, but the more hyper you get, the more expensive those clicks are.
Yeah.
So depending on the market, we can get super hyper if we need to, but generally it's more of a broad geo, because at some point, if the vendor's 10, 15 miles, a little bit north of where we're looking, at some point there'll be business there. So it's just easier just to do a more broad geo than anything.
Yeah. I was speaking to a colleague of mine who is a consultant, and he was like, he used to do lots of like cold outreach emails to get potential customers. And then now he's sort of automated it through Facebook advertising. And he said, Kune, if I didn't get the proof of concept from the cold emails, I wouldn't be doing the Facebook advertising. It's like, a shot in the dark. So you need to grind those first few, to understand how it works, to know how to sort of, automate it in the second instance with Facebook, right? Super interesting. Okay. I guess that's, that pretty much, okay, let's talk about revenue. How has the business grown since 2015? In 2015 obviously was half a year of business, but how did you do in 2015, and how did it compare in 16, 17 and 18?
Yeah, so I guess it's just easier for me to go backwards. So see, in 2015 I think we did a little bit over 200,000. And a lot of that was testing and, just hand holding. And I think we had less than 15, 20 vendors using the platform. In 2016, our first full year, we did almost 2 million. 2018, we did 5. And then this year will be 15.
Nice. Brilliant. So, it just sounds like you guys you've got things dialed in for scalability. I have a question. So if you're approached by a VC company for investment, would you budge?
We have been. I think the last 6 months I've been approached by 7.
Whoa.
Two of them were very, very large, and it was kind of like a little, nerve-wracking talking to them, because I'm not a Harvard grad. I am a state school product. I am a 3.0 GPA kind of guy, so it was a little nerve-wracking. And, you see all these success stories of, people that dropped out of those schools. Like, I wouldn't have anything to talk to these people about because we're not on the same intellectual level. But
the tide is changing now.
Yeah, I mean, hard work does pay off. And, having talked to them and told them our story, it's one of those where, they agreed with me that you guys really don't need VC funding. The only reason that you would need it is just if you wanted to grow faster, but you guys are growing fast enough. So out of all of those conversations that I had, the consensus was, keep doing what you're doing. As of right now, you're not the company that needs money. If you ever decide that, that you and the founder, your other co-founder would like to take some equity out, let us know. But the overall consensus with that conversation was that, I don't blame you. You don't need it.
Impressive. The story, so far has been, really, really impressive in terms of how, especially the fact that now you shifted a lot of the onboarding process to an automated process, which all you need to do is just put in some more firepower, and and that will just blow up. You've been 50 states, and it's just down to branding. So good stuff. So
Appreciate
is there any other thing you want to say as or that we haven't really covered that you think that the audience would benefit from?
I mean, something that we did, in 2012 before we even started is getting feedback from people, not just friends. Like you talk to a friend, hey, I've got this idea of making a widget. And 9 times out of 10, your friend's going to be like, oh yeah, of course. I'd love to buy that. I'd support you, but I think it's basically skewed feedback. And something that we did is before we even started with that, with the shop that was going to build our first website, we literally went door to door for a month and a half in the summer. We had our iPads loaded with a 5 questionnaire, and would knock on doors and preface, hey, my name's Gene Caballero. I'm not selling anything. I'm just thinking about starting a business, and I wanted to get your feedback to see if this is something that you would use or this is a dumb idea. And we knocked on thousands of doors for that first, during that time frame. And basically we had about 60 to 75% of people that would say, yeah, they would use our service because of this or because of that. So with that non-biased, feedback, we knew that we had a business and that we should move forward. So I just challenge people to do that more than to just talk to a few people and just say, oh yeah, my best friend and my wife, they love it. It's going to be great. Well, that's probably not the case. So get out there and talk to strangers, pay for user groups, focus groups. They're not that expensive. And going door to door, asking a stranger, we set up a kiosk at a mall for one weekend because it was raining to get feedback, giving out Starbucks $5 gift cards for somebody to sit down with us and talk to us about it. So get as much feedback as you possibly can, because that is so much easier than paying somebody to build a website and your product fail because you can't find distribution and you can't find people that are going to use or buy your product. So it's got to be a decent product, and you've got to have people that can use it. So get out there and see if it's a good idea or as good an idea as you think it is.
That's that I can't say anything. I can't add to what you just said. Feedback is absolutely important in products, and thank you so much. Before I let you go, okay. It's the lightning round section. I have only 5 questions, and hopefully you could answer them in a sentence or less. In a sentence, it's not no such as a less sentence. Okay, ready when you are.
Oh, I'm ready.
All right. How do you hire people?
Okay. Hiring people. So our motto here as GreenPal is hire fast and fire faster. A lot of great candidates, a lot of talent here, but I don't think it's necessarily in the hiring process. I think it's more in the firing process until you find that right person.
Awesome. All right. What are your 3 indispensable tools for managing your business?
Intercom.co. That's a huge one. Facebook is huge for us, and also Google Maps is huge for our business.
I can imagine. What's been your best mistake to date? I mean, a setback that's giving the biggest feedback.
The biggest setback is hiring a company and paying them $125,000 and only using a 1 minute and 20-second video that they made for you.
Wow.
Was not directed by James Cameron.
Wow.
That was our biggest mistake, but best mistake to date.
Yeah. Okay, so what's one piece? What piece of advice, just one, would you give to, like, retailers or individuals listening to this show who want to sort of get into market, set up a marketplace?
Make sure your product is 10x better than the alternative.
Fantastic. If you could choose a single book or resource that's made the highest impact on how you view building a business, which would it be?
Oh, that's hands down Steve Blank, The 4 Steps to Epiphany.
Wow, 4 Steps to Epiphany. Fantastic, Gene. Thank you so much for turning up on the show. If anybody wanted to connect to you, find out more about GreenPal, what's the best way to reach out to you?
They can check us out on Facebook, GreenPal. Twitter is @YourGreenPal. My personal Instagram is @Gene_YourGreenPal or _Gene Caballero. Our website is yourgreenpal.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cheers.
No problem at all. Thank you.
So that was a wrap on this week's episode of 2X E-Commerce. Remember, you can catch me every week and also send your questions and comments on Twitter using the hashtag 2XEcommerce. Keep yourself in the loop by subscribing to this podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. It only takes a few seconds and it means you'll get the most up-to-date episodes to help you grow your online store. Do have a good one till I catch you on the next show. Bye-bye.